What is new today is that we can claim that in well-organized and well-equipped department of obstetrics, the safety of the cesarean section is comparable with the safety of birth by the natural route. So this is something new, and we have to be careful not to be too fast, not to be too fast to draw some conclusions. It's true that today, if we use the criteria which have been commonly used until now to evaluate how babies are born, we might claim that finally, why not a cesarean section for almost everybody? Why not offering to all pregnant women the choice of a cesarean section? You know, if you consider the number of babies alive at birth, the number of babies healthy at birth, the health problems a woman can experience after giving birth, cost effectiveness and so on. That is to say, if you consider the conventional criteria, today you can say, oh, yes, both ways are comparable, and more women, in fact, that's real, prefer to have an elective cesarean section. And among these women, in fact, there are many women doctors. You know, there have been a survey among women obstetricians, in fact, a survey in Europe, another one in the USA, and many women obstetricians say, oh, for the birth of my own baby, I would prefer to have an elective cesarean section. And this is also the point of view of many doctors and many lay people as well. So that's an important issue, because it suggests that perhaps we have to introduce some new criteria. You know, when we say, why not cesarean section for everybody, or why not offering routinely the choice of cesarean section, there are people who say, they have a sort of intuitive knowledge that there is something wrong in this conclusion. They feel that the way we are born has long-term consequences. They feel that we have to think in terms of civilization. So finally, they help us to understand that we have to introduce new criteria to evaluate how babies are born. And there are several ways to understand what sort of criteria we need today. It's sure that there are people who have a sort of intuitive knowledge that it's wrong to offer a cesarean section to everybody. But these people often have a tendency to think that they don't need scientific data to transmit their intuitive knowledge. You know, they think that they can just speak the language of the heart, and that would be enough. In fact, if they just use the language of the heart, if they just try to transmit their intuitive knowledge, nobody will listen to them. These people have to learn to be bilingual. What does it mean? It means that they have to learn to combine what they can transmit with the language of the heart, their intuitive knowledge, but also what we are learning today from scientific perspective which are usually outside the field of medicine. And these new scientific perspectives which are developing today tell us what sort of new criteria we must introduce to evaluate how babies are born. That is to say, in practice, to evaluate the practice of obstetrics. Among these scientific perspectives I'm referring to, in fact, there are several of them, but all of them participate in what I call the scientification of love. And so what does it mean? It means that until recently, love was a topic for poets, for philosophers, for novelists. Today, love is studied from several scientific perspectives. We can briefly mention this perspective. The first one, historically speaking, was the perspective of the so-called ethologists, E-T-H-O-L-O-G-I-S-T, ethologists, that is, scientists who observe the behavior of animals and human beings, compare behavior in different species. They were the first one to tell us, in particular, that among all mammals, immediately after the birth of a baby, there is a short period of time which will never happen again, and which is critical in the development of the, we might develop, critical in mother-baby attachment, let's say, just that among mammals. This is, historically speaking, the first scientific discipline which belonged to this framework. But since that time, so many other data from so many perspectives. Perhaps the most spectacular ones at the present time are the data provided by those who study the behavioral effect of hormones involved in childbirth. And we know that to give birth, mammals in general, and human beings in particular, need to release a flow of hormones. The main component of this mixture of hormones being the so-called oxytocin. So what we are learning today is that oxytocin is not necessary just to contract the uterus for the birth of the baby and the delivery of the placenta, but we are learning today that oxytocin may be considered as the typical love hormone. Very few people have realized that this is an important step in the history of sciences, to understand that the hormone necessary to give birth to a baby is also the typical love hormone. The hormone necessary to give birth to the baby and necessary to deliver the placenta, that to say, also involved after the birth of the baby, is the typical love hormone. So, and we learned also a lot about the other components of this complex hormonal mixture, so that at such a point that today we can have a new vision of what's happening when mammals give birth, and in particular when women give birth. We can explain today that in order to give birth, mammals in general and women in particular are supposed to release a complex cocktail of love hormones. That's something new. We could not say that 30 years ago. And that indicates what sort of criteria we must add today to the conventional criteria in order to evaluate how babies are born. It means we have also to think long term. Until now, the criteria were just looking at the period of birth, you know, how babies are healthy at birth, alive at birth, and so on and so on. Today, we have to learn to think long term. And also, when we know that it's the capacity to love which is involved in the way babies are born in a society, we have to learn to think in terms of civilization, and that's new. We are really at a turning point in the history of childbirth, perhaps also in the history of mankind.